Welcome. Today our guest is Suzanne, and she has just had nothing major that's happened to her over the years, but just things along the way that kind of just come along with life. But what's been bothering you?
I have some kind of right hip pain that it's pretty chronic. Like it's kind of low grade, but it's always there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried a lot of different things and they kind of help, but it's still there.
Okay. So this will be fun. We'll get to just see what's working well, what has some room for improvement, and just go from there. Just see how the tea leaves fall out. I'm Kara Lindell. I'm the founder of the Bridging Institute and the Bridging Technique. And what we're doing overall is resetting muscle memory, but part of the process derives from my background as a systems engineer is we have to figure out what are we resetting. So we're going to take you through the problem-solving process that we use. We're just going to look at all the little micro movements that Suzanne has. How do arms move, legs move? How do they connect with her core? And where's anything stuck or asymmetric? Where does it not match from right to left? And that's our opportunity for improvement. So we're going to check standing up and sitting just to see globally how does everything work together. And then we'll have her laying down and just see how some of the parts move. So I'm just going to have you stand right here and just kind of hold at your shoulders. We're going to go side to side and just see how you're moving. And if anything bothers the hip or also in your leg, just say so.
Okay.
So the movement from side to side, it feels pretty good. And then let's see how turning is. And you're not helping. Whoops, whoa, you were helping with that.
Oh.
So she turns, okay, I'm trying to turn her to the right, and she goes a tiny bit and then stops. And then going to the left doesn't at all. So there's something about how your body is able to rotate that is a little jammed up. And let's see about forward and back. I'm going to hold down here. So one of the things she had mentioned to me was her right ankle, right foot also hasn't been the greatest. And I can feel that it doesn't, the movement in her right side just doesn't feel like it connects to the ground as well as she's moving forward and back. So I'm going to let you sit and let's see how your core is moving when it doesn't have help from your legs. Okay, so we're going to see how your core moves without help from your legs. And we're just going to go from side to side. Okay, this is quite different than when you were standing. Just not as easy. I feel like I have to be more cautious. And turning is not at all. Instead of just a little bit, it's not happening. And then forward and back. Again, there is movement, but I also feel like I'm testing it a lot more cautiously. So I'm going to let you lay down, head here, and see how legs are working and what they feel like. So just lifting. Okay, there's a bit of a difference. I can lift the left one easily. The right one feels like it's made with lead, and it feels especially hard to lift from up at the hip. The heaviness, her legs actually weigh the same. The heaviness is a sense of not connected. It's not getting help from the core. Turning ever so slight, really her leg does not rotate on the right, and easily it rotates on the left. So kind of a flag. The only thing that's injury-wise, you had an ankle.
Mm-hmm.
You've had some weird falls.
Yeah, I had a really bad fall on a trampoline when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I landed right on my head and went like this, and I couldn't move my neck for a couple weeks.
So like scrunched out to the right side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there may be something core-wise that we'll get into. We'll see. We got more to check. Okay, so arm and okay, could be better. It moves up and down easily. But the connectedness into her core, I'm pulling it gently towards me, and it should feel just elastic, like there's bungee cords connecting, and it feels pretty tight. Let's see about your other arm. It moves very easily, and it has a much springier connection to it. So sometimes what we've seen is how something in one part of the body has a diagonal restriction to the other. So I'm not sure that there's anything at the left shoulder we need to be so concerned about. But let's see what's going on with your shoulders. Overall, I'm going to scoop under, and we're going to lift from side to side. Okay, there's not a lot going on in your core, just at the very top. I should just be able to kind of roll back and forth. And then I'm going to scoop under your head and see if there's any motion there. And I'm trying to roll a little bit and go sideways a little bit and then up and down. And your head and neck are pretty stuck. But again, I don't know that there's anything there. Yeah, you've had a couple of things where you've fallen, but often what I'll find is that when the core and the legs are working better, that then the muscles holding the head relax, and then the movement just opens up. Okay. So let's see overall. Do arms and legs connect with your core? So I am not, the left side is not going to budge. Does not roll very easily. And let's see if the right even connects. Okay, I can't even lift this easily, so that's where I'm done checking it. Something has to change to allow more motion there. Flip roll this way onto your stomach. Let's just check a couple of things that way. And we're going to see, to start with, how does she move in the middle? There is a little bit, but it's actually really tight, and the right side is tighter than the left. We're going to check something with your core that I don't usually check because of what you described with that fall.
Okay.
So I'm going to just let that bend and then lift at the hip. It lifts a little bit, but it's tight. And then can she come out to a frog leg? And that answer is no. So there's something in the middle that's really restricting the leg and the hip. And this one has a little bit of motion, but doesn't really go out like a frog leg either. Frog leg's important for crisscross and a lot of our turning and squatting kinds of motion. Let's see what her shoulders. Good. And very good. So I'm not so concerned about the shoulders. So you said with that fall that you kind of crumpled more onto the right side. I'm just going to lift shoulders and see if I can slide your core more to the right than to the left. Well, I'm going to slide both ways. So it goes a little bit to the right. Let's see about the left. Huh. That's interesting. Because you think you crumpled on this side.
I don't, I'm not sure. I suppose it could have been the other way. Could have been this way.
So since there's a sideways involved, let's just check how are the relationships between the side, shoulder, rib movement, and then pelvis movement. So roll whichever side's easier to roll on. We'll check both. Yeah.
On the side?
Yeah, just stay on your side. So I'm going to hold in the middle as a reference point and see, does her shoulder move? It does move back and forth, and I kind of like the motion up in her whole upper body. And the lower part, so the funny thing is this is your right side where you're having all the issues. Mm-hmm. It actually moves. Go back the other way. I have a feeling this side doesn't. No. And not very much. So, Suzanne, I'm going to let you sit up.
Okay.
Because we're going to switch around, and I'm going to let you come on your side, but over here. I'm going to put your glasses over here.
Okay.
And so we like to work with the side that moves better, and the right side moved a lot better. So we're going to hold the core and just help refresh how arms and legs are working with the moving core. And that's very easy and quick with the arm. Her hip and pelvis move pretty nicely with the middle. So I'm just going to go back and forth a couple of times and refresh that. And you're getting more motion through the mid-back than where we started. And then we're going to add in her leg. And so I'm going to hold at the knee just so that we don't stress it. And her hip doesn't really want to move so much. So I'm going to support your knee. Oh, there we go. With a peanut ball. And see. So I know you had this, an ankle that was sprained. You know, it feels really stiff down here. So I'm just going to add a little motion, but stabilizing at your knee. And see if that actually doesn't open up some hip motion. So this has been chronic for you. What does it keep you from doing anything?
No, it's just sort of chronically there.
Does it affect sleep also?
Sometimes.
There. Okay, so that's moving better. What I don't see is a lot of movement with her core. So I'm going to just put a little support here and see if we can get a little bit more. So even though we're not sure which side she had the fall, by being on her side with working with her, it does allow some right side, left side to pair in her core, because the movement on the right side is actually propagating into the left side. So as she moves on the top, you can see movement on the bottom. So the other thing that might be influencing your core has to do with your children.
Yeah.
You have something unique. What do you?
I had 2 pregnancies, one child and then a twin pregnancy.
So sometimes with twins, you end up being pretty big, and all those muscles get a little overstretched, and they don't necessarily go back to working together so well. So I am just going to, while you're on your side, kind of overall, just a little bit of support and a little movement in her whole abdomen. And see if that helps a little bit of movement into her leg. There. How was the recovery from that?
It was okay physically. It was just
That's tough. You got
challenging to have
2 babies to feed and change.
Not a lot of sleep.
Yeah. There. All right. That seems to be working together better. So I'm going to hold and see if it moves. There. Yay. It's moving. So there's one other wild card, which we won't know for a week or 2 to see how this settles in. If you still have some challenges with this hip, there's another connection between the muscles of the leg, the psoas muscles, to what's going on at the diaphragm. And the diaphragm probably was impacted with with lots of baby there, and then baby's gone. And so we may need to be more intentional about what's going on mid-core to the leg, but let's get this evened out first and see how that works. So hopefully you'll be able to come back another time, and we'll be able to check in and see if that's the next step or there. But this ankle has really been, oh, there, your foot finally moved. So ankles can hold up hip movement quite a bit as well. Why don't you roll on your back and let's just see, do we have legs more even? Well, I can lift it to start with. That's a big improvement. And I can still, they actually feel very similar. And that turns. Excellent. You know what? Roll toward me instead of going through flipping. Let's
Okay.
Let's just make sure this side. Yeah. Okay, so this is the side that didn't move so well.
Mm-hmm.
And now it does move pretty well. Good. And leg. Gosh, this one is so easy. I am going to do the same thing with abdomen, just so that we're all matched up. So I know you can't see it, but you can see from the back, and you probably see a little motion in the back. There we go. I'm just kind of holding it, going up and down, and just kind of making sure there's some nice, easy, wiggly movement there. There. Good. Okay, so roll back on your back one more time. And we are going to recheck everything. So, leg, lifts, turns. Great. And, oopsie. The shoulder was good. That feels great. This is the one that was a little tight. And there's a little bit more movement. And I'm going to get rid of the pillow. And we're going to scoop underneath shoulders. You move.
Yeah.
And then scoop underneath her head. And her head moves every which way. Love it. Okay. Then can we put the pieces together? She does roll. And if the other side is just as easy, we are in business. It's funny, your shoulder is just a little tighter to move. There we go. And I'm just going to go back and forth a few times. There. And let me go back to the other side just to make sure that it really feels even. This is what we teach in our introduction to bridging class, is how to do this move. We call it the bug, because it kind of plays off of a dead bug exercise position. So flip on your stomach real quick. I'd like to know where the hip movement is at. And, okay. Wow, that was not possible before. Okay, this one didn't budge at all. It's still a little bit tighter, but it's so much better. And then can she go into frog leg? Not a lot, but a little bit. And then this one, they're equal. There's just a little bit. So that's something that for a follow-up that we would have as a goal, is to get more frog leg happening. So much more ease through here. And your shoulders were good before, but I want to make sure that they still are. There you go. Okay, why don't you sit up and see if we have some core movement when you're sitting. All right, so, well, how's that? It's very flowy. And then turning. Okay, so here's one I actually don't like. It's just, she feels like she slides around instead of having control. And it's through this right side where we were working before. And I like the front and the back don't quite match up. So I'm turning her to the left, which is the more matched direction. And there's just a little shift through your pelvis and how you're sitting. And I'm just kind of following it. And, oh. Actually, I bet there was some diaphragm, because it feels like you're sliding around right underneath your ribs, and in a really nice way. There. Okay, I'm gonna let you stand up. Yeah. Oh, glasses might be useful too, so you don't feel completely disoriented. And okay, let's see how she's moving. Oh, wow. That's super easy.
Yeah.
And then we're going to turn. I'm like using fingertips. And I'm just barely pushing from behind, forward and back. Wow, that's so nice.
A lot better.
So what we found is the right leg was stuck. The right hip was stuck. We ended up working on her right side because there was more movement there in her core. and just kind of helping that movement be more organized so that her leg could connect to it seems to open everything up, plus a little piece with the ankle sprain.
Mm-hmm.
And just matched up the left side, and core looks good. So we just need some more hip movement.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be next time.
Okay.
So love to have you come back. So for those of you at home, hit us up with that like button. This was a terrific example of just life impacting the way that you're able to move. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do that. If you're interested in being a guest, let me know. If you'd like to have a session for yourself, if you've had some chronic pain, we're located in the northern suburbs of Chicago. Love to have you. And the information for our website is in the show notes. And if you're a professional where you would like to learn the bridging technique, we do have classes coming up in 2024, and I would love to have you participate. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us.